The religious clashes between Hindus and Muslims in a section of India's capital continue to make headlines, but barely has the dust settled when the politics has erupted. A number of citizens are demanding to know, where are India's main opposition parties? Why aren't they on the ground? This question is being particularly asked of the Aam Aadmi Party. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. Before we introduce our panel today, let's take a look at what we're shining a light on in the program today. We're now looking at the politics that have been thrown up by the violence we've seen in Jahangirpuri, where the Aam Aadmi Party, which is of course the ruling party in Delhi, has lashed out at the BJP, criticized it for the demolition drive since halted by the Supreme Court, but at the same time blamed Rohingyas and Bangladeshis for the violence. This has been called dog whistling by several critics of the Aam Aadmi Party that are saying the Aam Aadmi Party, as the ruling party of the capital, should have done better. Meanwhile, Atishi Marlena is on the ground protesting the BJP's decision to demolish a temple in Delhi. A similar controversy is erupting in Alwar in Rajasthan. The Supreme Court, as I said, has halted the bulldozers in Jahangirpuri, bases a petition not just by a Muslim group but now even Hindu citizens who lost their source of livelihood in the capital are in court. How do we decode the politics? Is the AAP playing a defensive strategy? Where are the Congress's main leaders? The BJP member of parliament, in fact, has been on the ground. Let's introduce our guests on the program today. We're joined by well-known historian and commentator Irfan Habib, veteran journalist and commentator Arati Jerath is also with us. Welcome to the program as ever, Arati. Pikidi Nambiar, a commentator, a columnist, someone who has been supporting the bulldozers as an instrument of law and order, at least on Twitter, is with us. And from the Aam Aadmi Party, we're joined by Captain Shalini Singh, who's been in the Indian Army and is now, of course, a leader of the Aam Aadmi Party. Welcome, everybody. And before I get Mr. Nambiar and Captain Shalini Singh in, I'd like a perspective from Arati. Arati, we have a very sort of intriguing comment from Atishi, which will play out in just a moment, where she says two things. She says, run a bulldozer over Amit Shah's house and the riots will stop. And then she says the BJP is responsible for this violence because they brought in the Bangladeshis and the Rohingyas. I mean, why has the Aam Aadmi Party, without any of its major leaders being on the ground, decided to take this approach, you think?
No, I mean, this is what is so sad, Barkha, that even a party like Aam Aadmi Party, which came in as a party with a difference and a fresh approach to politics, and would claim to have none of the baggage that these traditional mainstream parties like the Congress and BJP have, even they have fallen prey to this, the kind of polarizing politics that we're seeing today. Whatever happened in Jahangirpuri, there are victims there, and nobody's seeing them as victims. They're seeing them either as Hindus or as Muslims, and they are responding according to what their politics dictates. The fact is that there are a lot of poor people who have lost their homes, who have lost their livelihood, and I mean, rightly, the Supreme Court has ordered a halt to the demolition, and the only person who went out there to stop this was a 74-year-old woman, Brinda Karat of the CPM, who actually had the courage to stand in front of the bulldozers and say, halt, the Supreme Court has ordered a stay. Where was the Aam Aadmi Party? Where was the Congress? They're all busy doing Twitter politics, doing media conferences. And, it's so easy. Just lash out at the BJP, just lash out at the Congress, lash out at the Aam Aadmi Party. But what about the people, the victims there? Nobody seems to have any empathy for those people anymore. And nobody sees them as human beings. They're just seen as pawns in politics.
Yeah, and we were playing those pictures of Brinda Karat trying to stop the bulldozer, but on the day that she was there was virtually nobody else there. Since then, we've seen a slew of politicians. The BJP member of parliament from the area, Hansraj Hans, in fact, spent a lot of time on the ground there. We've seen Asaduddin Owaisi since then having gone there. And finally, there were legislators of the Aam Aadmi Party party that also made their way, but it was only on Thursday. In other words, the Aam Aadmi Party was the last to reach the ground. And although their high-profile leaders, Manish Sisodia, Raghav Chadda, Atishi Marlena, held press conferences, we didn't actually see them on the ground. And I'll put that question to Captain Shalini Singh in just a moment. But let me get Professor Irfan Habib to add to what Arati has said. What is actually going on here? Why do we see such a muted political response, in your opinion, to what has happened?
You see what the way things have been over the past few years. Most of the political parties are complicit in this communal politics. Most of them cannot keep away from this divide between communities, and nobody wants to be seen as standing with the victims, whether they are Dalits or whether minorities, the Muslims. All of them want to just keep away. They speak in in a very muted way, or sometimes not with a lot of clarity. They just don't want to take a position, and that is one major reason why all of them want to keep away from all these issues, all these conflicts where poor people are suffering. Now, I just cannot understand that political parties like BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, they were contesting over this man called Ansar, that he is a BJP party leader. Aam Aadmi Party showed some photographs. Then BJP showed some other photographs with Aam Aadmi Party caps. We all know how political parties people change today. No, within a week you can change 3 political parties. So this man could have been in BJP. He could have been in Aam Aadmi Party as well, or maybe in the Congress as well. But that hardly serves any purpose. The point is, what are you doing for the people who are suffering? Their livelihoods have gone. Their rights have been mauled. They have not been given opportunity to even protest or to even put up their case. So no norm was followed. Bulldozer is deciding who is to be punished, not the courts, not even the executive. So point is that where is all this? Why is all this happening?
How do you see, and then how do you see, Professor Habib, the fact that the AAP MLAs, the AAP has been very vocal in criticizing the BJP, but it is also the party that blamed the BJP for unleashing what it called Bangladeshis and Rohingyas.
Barkha, you see, this is something very sad. This is something extremely sad that you bring in this Rohingya issue and Bangladeshi issue here. Most of these people who are there, they have all their valid cards and everything. And if they don't have, then it's a responsibility of the government to punish them. It shouldn't happen now when people are suffering. No, now you raise this issue suddenly. Now, where were you 8 years back or 7 years back, or when you came to power? Now, you people at the center and in the state government, they know how to find out the foreigners. They can do it.
Yeah.
If they are criminals, they can do it.
So
Now,
in fact,
another
yes.
thing is that what did I missed him anyway.
But while you're talking about the Bangladeshis and the Rohingya allegations, the people on the ground, the Muslims on the ground, they have led out a protest, and they have said that every Bengali-speaking Muslim is not a Rohingya or a Bangladeshi.
Absolutely,
and they're despairing on the ground. And before I come to Shalini and PKD Nambiar, let's listen to one of these many voices on the ground. It's adding insult to injury. First, this communal violence, then there is bulldozers, and then they are called not Indians. They're called outsiders. Listen in.
मेदिनीपुर जिला हल्दिया कोलकाता हल्दिया मोइसा दाल आप लोग पता भी कर लो इसका कागज भी है हम लोग दिखा देगा देश का हम लोग का बांग्लादेशी बोलता है हम लोग का बांग्लादेशी है हम लोग पश्चिम बांग्ला का है कोलकाता मोइसा दाल तो आप लोग तो जानता है फिर हल्दिया
हम लोग क्या बांग्लादेशी हैं हम तो पश्चिम बंगाल से हैं Arati, I'm sorry I'm making Mr. Nambiar and Captain Shalini Singh wait, but if you just want to add a thought there, and then I'll open up the politics of this. Can we unmute Arati?
So sad that even a party like Aam Aadmi Party has fallen prey to this thing of categorizing people as Bangladeshis or Rohingyas or Muslims or Hindus. I mean, just the other day, Arvind Kejriwal was saying that, for him, every Indian is equal. He sees everybody as an Indian. And now one of his main MLAs, one of his main spokespersons, is talking about Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. I mean, this completely goes against what AAP stood for, and why it rose so rapidly, because everybody thought they were going to make a difference to Indian politics. And now they are talking in exactly the same language as, say, the Congress or the BJP, or actually much more than the Congress, the BJP, talking about Rohingyas and Bangladeshis. And I think it's really sad. I mean, I felt so sorry for that woman who said, Ki hum to Pashchim Bengal se hain. So what, is every Bengali in the city going to be looked at with suspicious eyes that, are you a Rohingya? Are you a Bangladeshi? I mean, this is not on. We should not be dividing people like this on caste, community, nationality, religion. This is not how we are. All Indians living here. As long as we have papers to prove that, we have ration cards, we have voting IDs, we have Aadhaar cards, we are all Indians.
Yeah, and Captain Shalini Singh, let me bring you in. The narrative of this violence having been fomented by Bangladeshis and Rohingyas has come from your party. Even as you have said that if bulldozers were run over Amit Shah's house, riots would stop. And this comment came from high-profile leaders of your party, Atishi, Manish Sodia, and so on. How do you explain that today? Ideologically, maybe the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party are not saying very different things on what's happened in Jahangirpuri.
Good evening, everyone. So, with respect to all the speakers, I was listening. See, we have to understand that Aam Aadmi Party is being targeted. Like anything happening in Delhi, BJP tries to target Aam Aadmi Party. We have to see from the start when the Jahangirpuri violence, the day of the Shobha Yatra, it started, and when the stone pelting was done from the mosque. Aam Aadmi Party never started blaming anybody, but we condemn the violence, and terror or violence has no religion. And then what we hear after some time from BJP that okay, this guy is from Aam Aadmi Party, or Aam Aadmi Party is shielding Rohingyas. Aam Aadmi Party is trying to create this violence or riot or disturb the peace of Jahangirpuri area. So this is from where it started, and then it went on to the demolition. How this demolition happened? Why not in past 15 years when MCD is with BJP? Why in past 15 years never any demolition
And
happened?
and all of those are valid political questions for you and the BJP to argue out.
Yeah, so
Why would you bring up this Bangladeshi Rohingya sort of narrative in the
that's
middle of
what
this? Do you have evidence? The lady we interviewed said, "मेरे पास सब कागज है, मेरे पास सब कागज है, मैं तो पश्चिम बंगाल से."
That's what exactly I'm saying, Barkha. So see from where this Rohingya issue started. Aam Aadmi Party never started, but BJP, what it does, it tries to create that kind of communal thing in the name of people by using the name of the opposition. Aam Aadmi Party never started the Rohingyas. And on the day of demolition, even Hindus were showing their documents that our shops are being demolished and we are Hindus and we have valid documents. So now Rohingyas are not only in Delhi. If you are saying that Rohingyas, we have got them in settled, what they were saying that we have got them settled in Delhi. Is it true? Is Aam Aadmi Party or anybody can take the responsibility? Who is in center? Who is how are the any of the migrants who are coming and settling? Are they only in Delhi? They are spread all over India. So that was a question which Aam Aadmi formulated, that if Rohingyas are creating the Bangladeshis are creating this violence, then what was the center
The role
doing?
of the BJP.
Yeah,
Okay,
what was the
okay.
law
So
and
you're
order,
saying,
the police?
so
Yeah.
you're saying if the BJP is blaming the Rohingyas and the Bangladeshis, then
And they
the
are trying
BJP
to
is
drag Aam
responsible.
Aadmi Party, and they're trying to drag the name of the Aam Aadmi Party, which we have to
Okay.
understand that how they are trying to communalize
Okay.
the whole show. Now, if you
Let's
remember today, what has happened? In Jammu, there was a iftar party which happened, and from the defense PRO defense Twitter handle, a tweet was done that we keeping aside secularism of India, a party was thrown, iftar party was thrown, and after some time that was deleted. Why it was deleted? Because they don't want any such thing should be highlighted. So it is
My only point, ma'am, to you would be, with respect, is that it was interesting to me, and I want to ask you about it later, why the Aam Aadmi Party's political representation was the last to be on the ground. One of your colleagues, Nitin ji, he told me कि मुझे पता होता तो मैं भी बृंदा जी की जैसे एक बुलडोजर के सामने जाके खड़ा होता, लेकिन हमने वो दृश्य नहीं देखे. PKD Nambiar, I want you to come in, but before you respond, I'll play out what Atishi Marlena actually said about a bulldozer, a bulldozer being taken to Amit Shah's house and how these riots would end. Secondly, that these were Bangladeshis and Rohingyas that the BJP, the central government, was answerable for. Listen in.
तो अगर आज इस देश में हमें दंगे रोकने हैं, हमें गुंडागर्दी रोकनी है, हमें ये लफंगई रोकनी है, तो बुलडोजर भाजपा के हेडक्वार्टर पे चलना चाहिए. भाजपा के हेडक्वार्टर पे बुलडोजर चल गया तो उसके बाद देश में कई दंगे नहीं है. आज पूरे देश में दंगे अमित शाह करवा रहे हैं. उनका जो पूरा भाजपा का प्रशासन है, उनका जो पूरा पुलिस का प्रशासन है, जो कभी कभी गुंडागर्दी पर आवाज नहीं उठाता, अमित शाह जी के घर पे बुलडोजर चलना चाहिए. जिस दिन अमित शाह जी के घर पे बुलडोजर चल गया, उस दिन दंगे पूरे देश में रुक जाएंगे, उस दिन गुंडागर्दी पूरे देश में रुक जाएगी, उस दिन ये पूरे देश में रुक जाएगी. ये भाजपा के नेता है जिन्होंने देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों में इन बांग्लादेशियों को, इन रोहिंग्याओं को बसा दिया. क्यों बसाया है? कि इस तरह की गुंडागर्दी, इस तरह के दंगे, इस तरह की हिंसा हो सकती है.
All right. Now, there was a little bit of noise behind her, but she very clearly said कि ये BJP ने रोहिंग्या और बांग्लादेशियों को बसाया है. अगर दंगे रोकने हैं तो आप बुलडोजर अमित शाह के घर ले जाइए तो दंगे बंद हो जाएंगे. Go ahead, Mr. Nambiar.
Well, I think, Barkha, the politics has always been played out with religion in India, which has been the history of all the political parties. So I won't say that it is one or two. But as Arati ji said, that when Aam Aadmi Party came into the existence, and we all thought that it is going to be a party with a difference, it will be the party of the poor or a real Aam Aadmi. Unfortunately, it is not only in the Jahangirpuri danga, even in the 1.5 years before, in the Delhi major when that communal clashes took place, you have not seen either the Manish Sisodia or the Arvind Kejriwal on the ground as in their own language, the elected chief ministers or the elected deputy chief minister on the ground, making sure the crowd or the people who are affected, either to make them feel good or even to make sure that there is no problem exists there. Rather than that, in fact, you will be surprised that Arvind Kejriwal is in campaigning in Bangalore and expanding his political base. So I think it's very clear that Arvind Kejriwal and his party wanted to play a soft Hindutva. The minority appeasement, especially, I would rather call it like
I might even agree with you that they're trying their hand at soft Hindutva, but you support the full Monty, as it's called, the full Hindutva. So what is your problem with the AAP soft Hindutva?
No, I'm just trying to tell you that, see, I would say that if somebody has got an interest on a very strong viewpoint, whether it is a BJP or any other party, be very specific. But rather than that, ठीक है, आपने जय श्री राम बोला है तो मैं जय हनुमान बोलूंगा. हनुमान जी अभी से आज से मेरा है. So the kind of politics which is turning out to be only welfareism and plus the soft Hindutva, and Congress actually tried this. If you really look at it in the last election and before the temple visits and etc., they failed. See, one thing very interesting which is happening across the country is that the Hindus across the country is not ready to take any more this soft Hindutva or those kind of an appeasement politics will not work with them. They understand what is this temple politics. They understand what is this typical welfareism. That is something which you have been seeing it. Also, please note that when our Aam Aadmi Party or some of these opposition people says that communal violence, and you have a historian in the panel, you will be knowing that the communal disharmony at various times in this continent is not something new. It has not happened after 1925 or after RSS coming into existence or the BJP coming to existence. 1921 say, I'm just telling you the historic aspect of it. So there is something called as communal disharmony which is existed in this country for almost 1,000 years. Hindus predominantly are being in the beatings, on the receiving side for a long time. After especially after the almost the 100 years of the history, if you
What
really look at it.
beating? Hindus are being beaten by whom or what, Mr. Nambiar? Who
So
are
I
we
will tell
being
you. So I'm
beaten
just
by?
saying. So I will tell you.
Who are we being beaten by?
I'll give you one current serious example. Wherever there is a demographic change is taking place, and please note that this is the real facts on the ground, and you are a person who really travel across the ground and do report. Wherever there is a demographic change has happened, whether it is somewhere, some places in UP, whether it is some places in Rajasthan or in Haryana, which is the nearby places to the Delhi, wherever there is a demographic change is taken place, there is an issue. So the issue is that a Hindu procession or a Hindu activity or a Hindu, these things cannot happen if there is a Muslim majority area. Whereas the other way around, if you really look at it from Tamil Nadu to even Maharashtra, if there is a Muslim procession taking place on a Hindu majority area, you will never be able to find any kind of an issue.
Well,
What
in
I'm
this
trying to
particular,
tell you,
I need to intervene here because in this particular case, in both of the processions, whether it was the Shobha Yatra, which by the way the police confirms was taken out without police permission, or whether it was then we saw a mob of Muslim men, both had weapons. When I say weapons, I mean either this is here, you'll see the men with the talwars. We can take the banner off and see it more clearly. You can see this is the Muslim community, and you can see swords in their hand. And when you look at the pictures of the Shobha Yatra, you will see similarly weaponized men. We have those pictures. Can we please also show the Shobha Yatra at the same time? And you can see that their sticks and rods, right? And so the point is, Mr. Nambiar, that in this particular case, both of these processions or groups of men have come head to head, not, it seems, planning to be peaceful, because they would have been taken time to stock up on sticks and rods and swords. So this is a question for law and order, right? I want to actually just get Shalini to add to her point and then go back to Arati and Irfan. Habib, Arati, you wanted to say something? Okay, go ahead, Arati. First, Arati.
Minute, I just want to intervene here. I'm sorry, Mr. Nambiar, I don't know what happened in Tamil Nadu or whatever. Jahangirpuri, ever since it was set up, and Jahangirpuri was set up during the emergency when Sanjay Gandhi demolished all those jugis around, Delhi Gate and so on. This is one of the resettlement colonies. In the last 45, 50 years, it has not seen a single communal clash. Not a single one. This is the first time. You're talking about demographic change. I mean, why? How come Jahangirpuri has been peaceful all this time till suddenly the BJP decides that they want to take out yatras through Muslim areas, deliberately provoking Muslims? Sorry, I will not accept this nonsense that demographic change brings all this.
Mr. Nambiar, brief response. Brief response. Yeah.
see, the idea is that where I was talking about from the Aam Aadmi politics, then I told you that the reason why this is happening. If you really look at the fashion in which this, from the last couple of weeks, the one after from Jharkhand to Gujarat to Karnataka, a series of events are taking place. If you really try to coordinate all of them, there are some kind of a real conspiracy. And all these police inquiries, which are now leading to Bangladesh and also to the West Bengal. And this is not something which I am saying. These are all there on the there in the market. So I personally believe that there is a conspiracy which is taking place, which is not in the interest of the country. And there is no doubt, and I can prove you with one after another the facts that wherever there is a demographic change is taking place.
One minute. I want to say that one of the big sort of urban legends of this country is that one day the Muslims will outnumber the Hindus. Actually, Mr. S.Y. Qureshi's book and even the Pew Research Center surveys, they show conclusively that while the growth rate among the Muslims is the highest across religious communities, the steep fall in fertility rates is actually the highest in the Muslim community, and that the Muslims will. I am not wrong. I am willing to bet you on this, Mr.
I had a debate with S.Y. Qureshi ji on BBC just a couple of months ago. We had a 1 hour show on BBC, only me and him.
So we'll have both of you back. We'll have both of you back.
Absolutely,
I don't want this conversation. I don't want this conversation to get derailed. But since you spoke about the Hindus feeling under siege, I'm going to play for you some voices of Hindus, not Muslims. Hindus from Jahangirpuri on what they say about their relations with Muslims.
बताइए मुझे कि ये जो अब पूरा माहौल बना रखा है यहाँ पे एक समुदाय को दूसरे समुदाय का, ऐसा कभी आपको लगा?
नहीं, ये गलत है, ये सही नहीं है। क्यों, हम हिंदू मुस्लिम सब भाई भाई हैं, तो हमें प्रेम से रहना चाहिए। अब तो लोगों ने माहौल खराब कर रखा है।
और ये जो पूरी वारदात है, अभी फिर राजनीति इस पे गरमा रही है, काफ़ी लोग अलग अलग प्रकार के जो हैं, चाहे कोई भी पार्टी हो, वो अलग अलग प्रकार की बातें कर रही हैं। इनको आप कैसे देखते हैं?
इनको मैं सही ढंग से नहीं देखती कि पार्टियां खुद कराती हैं, खुद करती हैं, और पब्लिक मारी जाती है इसमें। हाँ।
हम कुछ और लोगों से बात करेंगे, आपसे हम बात करेंगे। हम आपसे जानना चाहते हैं,
हाँ, ठीक है।
आप कब से रह रही हैं यहाँ पे और क्या स्थिति है?
ये मेरी मम्मी का घर है। मैं अपनी मम्मी के घर से 1 साल से रह रही हूँ, और यहाँ पर सब हिंदू मुस्लिम सब एक साथ मिल बांट के रहते हैं। ऐसे कोई लड़ाई झंगा कुछ भी नहीं है। यहाँ के हमारे तबरेज़ भैया जो कि मोमडन हैं, और मैं एक हिंदू हूँ, लेकिन वो हमेशा हमारे हर दुख में सुख में हमारे साथ खड़े रहते हैं। मोमडन के त्यौहार हम भी बनाते हैं, हमारे त्यौहार वो भी बनाते हैं। ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है।
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। तो ये आपने सुना हम कि ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। कभी आप यहाँ पे रही हैं, आप क्या अपील करना चाहेंगे सभी लोगों से, चाहे वो हम मीडिया के लोग हों, चाहे नेता लोग हों, कि ये जो पूरा
दंगे प्रसाद नहीं होने चाहिए। ये सब पॉलिटिक्स है जो आगे वोट के चक्कर में ये सब किया जा रहा है।
ये सब पॉलिटिक्स है, और उस पॉलिटिक्स में कैप्टन शालिनी सिंह, आप लोगों को लगने लगा है कि आपकी पार्टी भी कुछ शामिल है, इस तरह से कि आप खड़े नहीं होते इस पॉलिटिक्स के खिलाफ। आप धीमे धीमे तरीके से, एक तरह से जिसको पीकेडी नाम्बियर सॉफ्ट हिंदुत्व कह रहे हैं, आप भी वही राजनीति खेल रहे हैं। आप क्या बोलेंगी मैम?
See, Barkha, Aam Aadmi Party is never wanting to get communal, nor they believe in doing the governance over caste, creed, or religion. Hindu, Muslim rights, we just don't believe in doing it, and we are not doing it. What our
So
governance
why didn't
model
you
is
go
about-
to the ground? It's
So
your
therefore,
government
see,
in
that's
Delhi.
what
Why
I'm
didn't
saying.
your people
So
go
we
so
can
late to the
ask-
ground?
So nobody was late when this was starting. Then only, yes, you can say nobody was present physically there on ground. But yes, we condemned it. Now we will say when the attack on CM's residence happened, what now if CM's house is attacked, what happens after that? The people who are attacking it, they are being garlanded. They are being made to join the BJP as if they have won some battle or some war, and they are being welcomed like that. So this is what they are trying to sow in the minds of the people, that you do gundagardi, you do all these kind of ruckus, you create violence, you do something which is completely antisocial, and then you will be welcome in the party. So the youth which is currently unemployed, they have nothing to do, they are not wanting to do provide literacy to people, jobs to people, they are using them for these things, and they get motivated to do such things because they feel that okay, then BJP will
I
welcome you.
understand
Now,
I
if
understand the argument you're making. You're saying
And
that the
I-
party is so under siege from the BJP
Yeah,
that you
and
have
also-
but it doesn't tell me why your MLAs they went, as far as I know, only on Thursday. It had been a few days
So can
since. Yes.
if it is, the question is being asked from Aam Aadmi Party or the Delhi government all the time that why we were not there, can I ask that why nobody from BJP was there, why nobody from Congress was standing, why Aam Aadmi Party is being dragged into when the law and order is with them, and the demolition is being carried by, and we were there with the people, we have been with the people, we are still standing with the people, but saying that Aam Aadmi Party is behind all this Jahangirpuri incident,
I didn't say you are behind all this. I didn't
no,
say
we
that
are
at all.
no. I'm not saying you are saying. I'm saying it is the kind of things which are being made to understand by the opposition that we are behind all these things. I'm saying, I'm putting across that point.
Okay, let me get responses to this. Irfan, Habib, the Aam Aadmi Party cannot say this or will not say this on record, but a number of their members will say privately that they have now decided that any Hindu-Muslim conversation leads to the political advantage going to the BJP, and therefore whether it was the Delhi riots of 2020 or whether it's what's happened in Jahangirpuri, while they will criticize from a distance, they will choose to do it through the prism of nationalism, which is why they have brought up Bangladeshis and Rohingyas, one, and they will not get into a Hindu-Muslim domestic conversation because their calculation is the advantages to the BJP. I know Captain Shalini can't say that on record, but the number of AAP leaders who have said this to me off record, we all know this. That's what we're seeing.
I began with this. I began by saying this, that most of the political parties do not want to take a position. They want to weave a narrative where they are not distanced from the majority community, because ultimately they have to come into electoral politics where they need votes. So in that context, nobody will speak very clearly, very openly, siding with the minority victims of riot victims or whatever, or demolition victims, and or you can say even Dalits for that matter, because the Dalit victim atrocities you can see all over the country. So this narrative is all
But
over.
what do you
So
feel? What do
Aam
you
Aadmi Party-
feel about this tactical, this, for
Second-
lack of a
second-
better
second-
word,
second,
for this
I just
tactical
want to-
approach?
No, I just want to remind Shalini and Aam Aadmi Party, because they know, I don't have to remind them, that 80% Muslims and the poor Hindus, both, not just Muslims alone, all of them shifted from the traditional party or the Congress to Aam Aadmi Party. That's what brought them to power, because the privileged Hindu, the rich Hindu, the trader, the urban Hindu, they remained with BJP for so many years that they're still with BJP, most of them. But the poor Hindu and the poor Muslim, they shifted in large numbers to Aam Aadmi Party. So Aam Aadmi Party is actually responsible for their good, for their future, for their prospects, economic prospects, their livelihood prospects, all that, they need to look after. Because not only because second thing, which I just want to respond to what Mr. Nambiar just said, which I feel sad that he brought this in, because this is a narrative which is being weaved for the last several decades, that thousand years of clash, of victimhood. No, I just don't understand that 80% population in this country remains Hindu majority population. No, there are 15%, 16% Muslims after 1,000 years of atrocities and conversions, organized conversions as they are claimed. No, I'm not saying that conversions didn't take place. I'm also one of the converted Muslims. I don't claim that I came from Arabia or Central or Iran. No, some people came, but the conversions did take place. But the point is, despite conversions, it was not an organized policy. Had it been an organized policy, the barbarism of 1,000 years, as it is proclaimed, should have converted at least 50% India into Muslim India. It didn't happen, because it went on through different processes, through Sufi messages, through power as well.
I'm interrupting
so many
you,
ways.
but let me. I don't want this to become a conversation about the population debate, because we'll go into a different direction. I think both of you have expressed your assessments. I have welcomed Mr. Nambiar to a separate debate on this. But Mr. Nambiar, what is this time that we are living in, where, as Shalini first reminded us in the program, there is now a debate over iftar parties. So this tweet, we pulled it out. This is a tweet from the Sudarshan News editor questioning why the military was tweeting about the iftar party. This man has been hauled up. He has been hauled up by the Supreme Court, no less, for vilifying Muslims. He sent one of his reporters into a Haldiram store recently, where she started attacking the person in that shop for packets, saying ki isme Urdu kyun likha hai? Actually, it was Arabic. What is this nonsense? Urdu is written on our currency notes. Now, I'll just play this again. I'll play this again so you all know what happened. This gentleman is now targeting the Indian military, which is an institution that reflects, with its Sardham Sthals and his Mandir Masjid Gurdwara traditions, the pluralism of our faith. And it says, keeping alive the traditions of secularism, and iftar was organized in Doda. And the army is then targeted for this. And we are going back to what happened 1,000 years ago. Shouldn't we be worried that this is the nonsense that is going on, Mr. Nambiar, in 2022?
Well, he's one among you. He's, as you said, that he's a...
he is certainly not one among me.
So at least...
I am sorry.
No, as far as I know, that
I will agree to that.
I know Suresh ji very well. The only thing is that he may have his own opinion, and he may have his own style of representing it. Yesterday, I have seen in one of the TV channel, which is supposed to be one of the leading channel, they were asking a gali deke kisi guest ko nikal rahe the. So I think that the content of all these people, for an example, he was blamed in the hate speech, wherein the Delhi police had given him a clean chit, absolute clean chit. Today's all the newspapers have even covered it in a big way. So the idea is that I don't want to get into that particular stuff. The only thing what we are talking about is today, let's get back to the Aam Aadmi Party and Jahangirpuri. You always claim, a party with a difference always claims that we are a people of Aam Aadmi. We say that we have a elected CM which do not get that kind of an importance. What made you are the one who was all around roaming around across the state and country and saying that I am the representative of the Aam Aadmi Party. When the Delhi the people in Delhi is going through a communal riot, where was the CM? Where was all the Aam Aadmi Party leaders?
Okay, the pictures you're seeing on your screen are of Atishi. 1 minute, just to explain these pictures, protesting. Can we play them again? Atishi is protesting the centre's proposal to demolish a temple in Delhi. I just want to contextualize these pictures. So Captain Shalini saying, many would ask, Miss Marlena came onto the streets against this. Why not also come on the streets? I'm not saying don't come on the streets for this. Why not also come on the streets for the poor Hindus and Muslims of Jahangirpuri?
The MP of that particular place, I'm just missing his name. He was there on the same day. Hansraj Hans was the whole night and the whole night.
Hansraj Hans was there. I said that in the beginning. Mr. Hans was there.
He was there.
Actually there.
Many local BJP leaders were there to ensure.
You can see him there. You can see him, Mr.
And he was there. In fact, I was there on a show on the next day morning. I was there on a show with him, and he was telling that I'm still here. The whole of night I was here, and everything has been now calm and settled. There was some kind of a miscreant people. Nobody blamed typically a Muslim or anything. You need to understand.
No, I will disagree with that.
Finish up my
point.
I will disagree. I am only saying that there is a section of people in every society, irrespective of every religion. They are radicals, they are bad people, they may have a sword or whatever it may be in this. But you have to understand, Barkha, this is only a humble request. There is a fashion in which is taking place. Start from Udupi, hijab issue. So for an example, there is a high court order. Just see, yesterday again 2 kills and gone with the hijab. You know that it is not going to happen. There is a high court order. They cannot appear. But it is to make sure that there is a relevance. There is a communal tension.
So I'm interrupting you only because I have a couple of minutes left. I just want to say that Mr. Hansraj Hans is a very atypical politician. While in fact, when I was interviewing him on this platform, I said to him, Madhya Pradesh Home Minister is defending the use of bulldozers. Mr. Hans speaks as the sort of artist that he is. He in fact invoked Iqbal, and he said, "Sare jahan se acha." And today I woke up and I read bits of fairs had been removed from a textbook. So Hansraj Hans is in a different, I think, category. He's a very unusual politician. But Captain Shalini Singh, let me bring you in quickly on my question. Miss Atishi did go on the streets to stop or protest a proposed demolition of a temple. Good for her. But what about the poor people of Jahangirpuri? Musliman, Hindu, dono.
So that's what we are saying. It was, we have to understand that what Irfan sir was saying, that what is the work of Delhi government, that we provide shelter, livelihood, their basic. Mr. Nambiar, if you can hear me out, because I have been listening to your views, they are very biased. So if I can complete.
Okay, chalo, complete.
Aam Aadmi Party has been doing the governance without putting any communal or without bringing any religion in between, and providing food, livelihood, shelter, bijli, pani, whatever we are required to provide, we are doing that. Now, if something like this happened today, the demolition has happened in Dwarka area where I stay, and which is my area where I'm taking care of on behalf of my constituency. There a demolition has happened today also, and a lot of shops which have been broken are of Hindu shops. Hindu owners are there. And they went and told that our goods worth 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs have been just bulldozed just like that. So what now BJP is doing, they are just entering anywhere with their bulldozer. Now you can ask why nobody was there from today, was in Dwarka. Why in Jahangirpuri we were not there? So they are just picking and doing demolition wherever they are wanting, wherever they are just going on, and they are doing the demolition. So asking that why we were not there, we are very much with the citizens of Delhi. We are very much standing with them.
Okay, about time.
Manish Sisodia has even issued a letter also to all the MLAs that if there is any these kind of demolitions which are going on, stand by with the citizens, go with them and speak to them. So that is what we have started.
Okay, okay, all right. I'm going to give the last word to Arati. I brought up, you can't decontextualize Jahangirpuri from this Sudarshan news editor targeting the PRO of the Indian military, from what happened in the Haldiram store, from what Madhya Pradesh's Home Minister is khul ke saying ki jinhone pathrav kiya unke ghar bhi ab patthar bana diye jayenge. We can't decontextualize, and in that context, the Aam Aadmi Party, perhaps, as do even big leaders of the Congress, are clearly feeling politically defensive. That's what's happening here.
Absolutely. Barkha, this is the tragedy that I think, the fear of every political party to get trapped in this debate on Hindus and Muslims with the BJP, and the fear that they're going to lose that debate because the BJP can, say anything and get away with it. And they can be as vile and as, violent and as, extremist as they want. Whereas, other people hesitate to do that. But, in a way, it shows that the BJP has managed, and this is the sad thing, that the BJP has managed to change and twist our politics to the extent that all political parties, whether it is Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, even Mamta, anybody, they are scared to, and they shy away from taking the BJP head on the issue of secularism. Nobody even wants to mention that.
And also the own uneven record of parties like the Congress. There are many, there are cases where the Congress did not live up as the main party of governance to what it really stood for, which is why it's so sad to see the military today embroiled in that controversy, because the military has always stood for it, even when political parties have actually failed to live up to that promise. We'll have to leave it there. Yes, Arati, I think you're absolutely right that there has been a tectonic shift in, at least right now. Mr. Habib, you wanted to come in. I was trying to close. You want to say something in the end?
I just wanted to end with a little comment with which Nambiar also raised. The whole issue of appeasement. Appeasement today is not actually of the minorities. It was never an appeasement of the minorities. Minorities were appeased only through cases like Shabano, which gave nothing to Muslims except for the abuse, for which they are abused even today. This is what Congress did. Because there was nothing else. Now today, the majority is being appeased because majority, 80% population is to be appeased because you need their votes. This is the electoral politics of our country, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll have a different debate, a separate debate. Yes, we'll have a separate debate on the demographic debate that Mr. Nambiar has triggered, which I think there's a lot of data that speaks for itself. So that debate separately. For now, thank you, Irfan, Habib, Arati, Jerath, Shalini Singh, Captain Shalini Singh, and PKD Nambiar. And to our audience, have a great weekend. The news continues at the Mojo Story. Thank you for watching. Take care.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.